This is Jonathan Kahn. Welcome to my YouTube channel. When you look at what's happening in the world, it's easy to wonder what's going on, and are things out of control? Is this what the Bible foretold? Is the end near? What do I need to know about the future? Where's it all going? How can I be prepared? What is God's prophetic word for the hour and for me? On this channel, you're going to find prophetic updates, the mysteries of God, daily words for life, biblical revelation, prophetic teachings, and much more. I pray it's going to be a great blessing to you in the days ahead. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell icon so you're notified every time there's a new video that's posted. Leave a comment as to how God is blessing you. And don't forget to share these videos with friends who need to hear them. Thanks again, and God bless you. Shalom.
Last night I woke up trembling, not because of fear, but because I had a dream that felt more real than life itself. In my sleep, I heard a voice. It wasn't loud, it wasn't harsh, it was gentle, yet it shook me to my core. And it said, "The time is near." You see, we live in a world where we chase money, we chase status, we chase women, we chase validation. And yet, in the quiet moments, when you put down your phone, when no one is watching, there's a hollowness that creeps in. A silence that whispers, "Is this all there is?" For many of you listening, you're men trying to hold it all together. Maybe you're tired of being ghosted. Maybe you're tired of carrying burdens no one sees. Maybe you've become so used to being strong that you've forgotten what it feels like to be held. But what if I told you that last night, God reminded me of something? The rapture is not just a prophecy for tomorrow. It is a wake-up call for today. A call for us to live differently, love deeply, and walk in truth before the hours slip away. You ever had one of those nights where you wake up at 3 a.m. and you don't even know why? You're not hungry, you're not thirsty, but your eyes just snap open, and suddenly you're lying there in the dark staring at the ceiling, feeling like something is pressing down on your chest. That, my friend, is not random. That's a wake-up call. And here's the thing about wake-up calls. They don't always come in the ways we expect. Sometimes they come as a dream that feels so vivid it leaves you shaking. Sometimes they come as that knowing voice in your head whispering, "This can't be all there is." And sometimes they come as an emptiness that feels heavier than any weight you've ever carried. I want you to think about your life right now. How many times have you brushed off those signals? The restless nights, the nagging voice, the gut feeling that you're running out of time. Most of us silence them. We drown them out with Netflix, with scrolling, with dating apps, with meaningless hookups, with chasing validation from people who don't even care about us. We numb ourselves because deep down, if we listened, we'd have to confront the truth. And that truth is scary. But let me tell you something. When you ignore a wake-up call, it doesn't go away. It gets louder. It finds new ways to reach you. And the longer you run, the harder it hits when it finally catches you. I know some of you listening feel like you've been running. Running from responsibility. Running from purpose. Running from the uncomfortable truth that you're not living the life you were made to live. The dream, the vision, the rapture, whether you believe it literally or you take it as a metaphor, it's a reminder that time is short. Life doesn't wait for you to be ready. God doesn't sit around hoping you'll get it together one day. The hours are slipping away whether you face them or not. That restless feeling, that's the alarm clock of your soul telling you to wake up. And I want you to hear this with love, but also with urgency. You don't get to keep living like you've got forever. You don't have endless time to waste in relationships that drain you. You don't have endless time to scroll through life while your potential gathers dust. You don't have endless time to keep silencing that voice that's been calling you to rise up, to lead, to become the man you know deep down you're meant to be. So let me ask you this. What would you change today if you knew the clock was ticking down to hours, not decades? What conversations would you have? Who would you forgive? What battles inside yourself would you finally stop running from? That's the wake-up call. That's the dream shaking you by the shoulders. That's God whispering in the silence, the time is near. And if you keep ignoring it, you don't just risk missing the message, you risk missing your life. Here's a hard truth: nobody likes to think about your time is running out. And I don't mean that in some vague philosophical sense. I mean it literally. The seconds are ticking right now as you're listening to me. Every breath you take is one less breath you'll have in this lifetime. And yet most of us live as if the hours are unlimited, as if the calendar stretches on forever, as if tomorrow is guaranteed. It's not. Think about how casually we say it. I'll start tomorrow. I'll call her tomorrow. I'll get serious about my health next month. I'll start that business someday. But someday is not on the calendar. You've only got today. That's it. And if you don't start treating today like it matters, you're going to look back and realize you wasted the most valuable resource you ever had. You know what shook me about that dream? That voice saying the time is near. It's not just about the rapture. It's about urgency. It's about waking up to the fact that life doesn't pause while you hesitate. The clock doesn't stop just because you're scrolling Instagram. The world doesn't wait because you're too scared to take the leap. And let's be real. Men today are drowning in distraction. Hours vanish in front of screens. Days vanish chasing attention from people who don't actually care. Years vanish in jobs that drain your soul while your purpose gathers dust in the corner. That's the danger of thinking time is endless. It makes you careless with the moments you do have. I want you to imagine something. Imagine a giant hourglass sitting on the table in front of you. Sand is pouring down grain by grain. That sand is your life. Every grain is a heartbeat, a chance, a memory, an opportunity. You don't know how much sand is left. None of us do. But here's the catch. You can't flip the hourglass back over. Once it's gone, it's gone. That's the weight of time. That's the urgency I felt when I woke up from that dream. So ask yourself, what are you doing with the sand you've been given? Are you wasting it on things that don't matter? Are you giving it away to people who don't deserve it? Or are you using it to build the life you'll be proud of? You see, when you really grasp how short time is, you stop postponing. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You stop saying later, because you finally realize that later might not come. That girl you've been too afraid to talk to. What if you never get another chance? That business idea you've been sitting on. What if someone else builds it because you were too scared? That prayer you've been holding back. What if tomorrow is too late? Here's the truth. You don't get to control how much time you have left, but you do get to control how you spend the time you've got. And if the dream means anything, if the voice whispering, the time is near, means anything, it's this: stop wasting hours you can't get back. Stop living like tomorrow is promised, because it's not. Let me talk directly to the men listening right now, because I know this is going to land deep. You're carrying weight nobody else sees. People look at you and they think you're fine. They see you at work, you're holding it together. They see you with your friends, maybe you laugh. Maybe you look calm. But when the door closes at night, when it's just you in that room, you know the truth. You're exhausted. You're carrying expectations, pressure, disappointment, fear. And you don't know where to put it. That's the hidden weight men carry. It's not just bills or work deadlines. It's the weight of never feeling like you're enough. It's the weight of thinking you're falling behind while everyone else seems to be winning. It's the quiet shame of rejection, of heartbreak, of silence. You don't post about it. You don't text anyone about it. You just swallow it because somewhere along the way, you were told that's what men do. Be strong. Don't cry. Don't complain. Don't let anyone see you struggle. And here's the problem: that weight doesn't go away. It doesn't dissolve just because you push it down. It builds, it stacks, it hardens, and over time it turns into anger, into numbness, into hopelessness. That's why so many men today feel stuck. Not because they're weak, but because they've been carrying more than anyone realizes, and they've run out of room inside. When I had that dream, when I woke up with the sense that time is running out, I thought about you. The men who are stuck in silence, the ones who don't know how much longer they can keep carrying it. And here's the truth, you're not weak for feeling crushed. You're human. The mistake isn't feeling the weight. The mistake is believing you have to carry it alone. Look, I know society tells you that vulnerability is weakness, but let me flip that for you. Vulnerability is courage. Think about it, it takes zero courage to bottle everything up and act like you're fine. But it takes incredible courage to admit you're hurting, to admit you need help, to admit you can't do it all alone. That's strength. So let me ask you, who have you shared the weight with? Have you told a brother, a friend, God? Or are you still convincing yourself that silence is safer? Because it's not. Silence is what breaks men. Silence is what drives men to the edge. Silence is what steals fathers, brothers, and sons before their time. And I don't want that for you. The weight you carry is real, but it doesn't have to bury you. The dream reminded me that the end doesn't give you more time to unload what you've been carrying. You've got to deal with it now while you can. That means opening your mouth. That means putting words to the pain. That means letting yourself feel instead of numbing out every night with distractions. Because here's what I know, once you start sharing that weight, it gets lighter. It doesn't disappear, but it becomes bearable. And when you realize you don't have to carry it all alone, something shifts. You get stronger, not because you're hiding, but because you're finally living honestly. And that's the breakthrough. Men don't break because they're too weak. They break because they're too silent. Don't let silence be the end of your story. Let's get real about distraction, because if we're honest, most of us are drowning in it. And here's the truth, nobody likes to admit distraction feels good until it doesn't. Think about it. You're stressed, you're tired, you're overwhelmed. What's the easiest thing to do? Pull out your phone, scroll. Turn on Netflix. Order food you don't need. Swipe on dating apps. Maybe you even numb out with drinking, gaming, or things you don't want anyone to know about. And for a moment, it works. For a few seconds or minutes, you forget the weight, you forget the emptiness, you forget yourself. But then what? Then the distraction ends, the screen goes dark, and there you are, still with the same problems, but now heavier, because you've wasted more time. And deep down, you know it. You know you're escaping instead of confronting. And that realization, that awareness, is what eats you alive at night. It whispers, you're falling behind. You're losing time. You're not becoming the man you were meant to be. That's the real cost of distraction. It's not just wasted hours. It's wasted potential. It's the slow death of the vision you once had for your life. And I know you had a vision. Every man listening to this had a picture of who he wanted to be, stronger, wiser, more disciplined, more free. And now, you've got to be honest with yourself. How much of that man is getting buried under endless scrolling, endless noise, endless escape? Here's what makes this even more dangerous. Distraction isn't neutral. It's not like you press pause and life waits for you to come back. No, life keeps moving. Your opportunities keep moving. Your relationships keep moving. And if you're not paying attention, distraction robs you quietly. It takes your time, your energy, your focus, and once it's gone, you don't get it back. I had to sit with this after that dream. The urgency wasn't just about the end of time. It was about the end of excuses. Because every distraction we choose is a trade. You're not just killing time. You're trading it. You're trading growth for comfort. You're trading intimacy for screens. You're trading clarity for noise. And if you don't get honest about that trade, you wake up one day realizing you've given away years of your life to things that never loved you back. And let me tell you something, distraction is the enemy of purpose. You can't hear God in the noise. You can't build discipline in the chaos. You can't become a man of depth if your attention is shallow. And that's why distraction feels so innocent, but it's lethal. It steals not just your time, but your ability to even hear yourself anymore. So what do? You start cutting it, one decision at a time. You silence the noise. You delete the apps that eat your focus. You put the phone down at night and sit with the discomfort instead of numbing it. Because here's the truth, on the other side of distraction is clarity. On the other side of silence is strength. And when you stop running from your life, you start building it. You want to know why the dream shook me? Because it was a reminder that time is too short to waste being distracted. Life is calling you to wake up, to look up, to stop scrolling and start building. Because the man you want to be isn't waiting inside distraction. He's waiting inside focus. And the clock is ticking. Let me tell you something we all believe, and it's the biggest lie keeping us stuck. The idea that we have time. I'll start tomorrow. I'll get serious when I'm older. I'll work on myself after this semester, after this job, after this relationship. Sound familiar? We push things off because somewhere deep inside, we assume there will always be another chance, another day, another window. But let me wake you up. There might not be. Time is the most deceptive comfort we have, because it feels unlimited while it's slipping away. Think about how many years you've already said, "This is my year," only to wake up months later still fighting the same battles, still making the same excuses, still stuck in the same cycles. Time didn't wait, it moved. And it took parts of your life with it, opportunities you can't get back, connections you didn't pursue, energy you didn't use wisely. I want you to imagine something. Imagine if you could see an invisible clock above your head, counting down the exact hours, days, and years you have left. Imagine if you knew with absolute certainty when your last day would be. Would you still waste tonight scrolling on TikTok? Would you still keep saying, "Tomorrow I'll start"? Or would you realize tomorrow isn't guaranteed, and that the illusion of endless time is the biggest trap of all? I've seen so many men waste their 20s thinking they've got forever. They drift through their days, caught in jobs they hate, relationships that don't challenge them, habits that kill them slowly. And then one morning they look in the mirror at 30, 40, and it hits them. I wasted it. I thought I had time. And nothing hurts more than that realization that your greatest asset wasn't money, wasn't connections, wasn't even your health. It was time. And you spent it like it was infinite. Let me tell you this truth. You don't decide when you run out of time. That's not in your hands. What is in your hands is how you spend the time you've got right now. And here's the brutal honesty. If you keep living like you've got all the time in the world, you'll die with a list of regrets instead of a legacy. I know this feels heavy, but it needs to. Because too many of us live in a fog. We numb ourselves with distractions, with shallow pleasures, with meaningless escapes, all while the clock keeps ticking. And then we wonder why life feels empty. It feels empty because you keep postponing what actually matters, waiting for some perfect day to start living. But newsflash, the perfect day doesn't exist. The only day you've got is today. And this is why the dream shook me to my core. God wasn't just showing me urgency about eternity. He was showing me urgency about life, about the hours slipping through our fingers, about how the illusion of time is the most dangerous lie you can ever believe. Because once it's gone, it's gone. So here's my challenge to you. Stop waiting. Stop planning your life around some imaginary future where everything lines up perfectly. It won't. Take the step now. Build the discipline now. Call the person now. Write the book now. Pray now. Because if you wait until someday, You'll wake up realizing someday never came. Time is not your friend, it's your test. And the way you spend it determines the man you become. Don't waste it. Every man listening to this is in a fight right now, whether he admits it or not. And it's not a fight with the economy or women or his boss or even the government. The real fight is between faith and fear. Those two voices are constantly competing in your head. Fear says, you're not enough, you're going to fail. Don't even try because you'll look stupid. Faith whispers, take the step, trust the process, believe that you were built for more than this. The truth is, fear is loud, faith is quiet. And that's why so many of us give fear the microphone in our lives. Think about it. How many decisions have you not made because of fear? How many times have you felt the push to take action, apply for the job, approach the girl, start the business, stand up for yourself, but instead you hesitated, you froze, and fear won? You know what happens when fear keeps winning? Your life starts shrinking. Your world gets smaller and smaller until all that's left is regret and what-ifs. Faith, on the other hand, doesn't always give you guarantees. It doesn't hand you the blueprint. Faith asks you to step out before you see the whole staircase. That's why it's terrifying. But here's the catch: every single breakthrough in your life will always require faith, not fear. Fear keeps you safe. Faith takes you forward. Fear locks you in place. Faith opens doors you didn't even know existed. I want you to remember this. Fear is not evidence that you shouldn't do something. Fear is proof that you're stepping into something bigger than yourself. Every man who's ever done anything great felt fear. But what separates them from everyone else is this: they moved anyway. They stopped waiting for fear to disappear, and they acted while their hands were still shaking. And let me connect this to that dream again. When I woke up with the words echoing, "The rapture is hours away," I felt the urgency of faith. It wasn't about living in terror. It was about living awake. Because when you're consumed by fear, you play defense with your whole life. But when you're anchored in faith, you start playing offense. You start living like you've got a purpose to fulfill, a mission to complete. And suddenly the excuses don't matter anymore because you realize you're not here forever. Most men listening right now are being suffocated by fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. But here's the truth: those fears are lies. They are smoke. And every time you let them dictate your choices, you strengthen the lie and weaken your future. Faith doesn't promise you an easy life, but it promises you a meaningful one. And meaning will always beat comfort. Meaning will always outlast fear. So if you're sitting there, torn between what fear says and what faith is whispering, I'm going to tell you straight: lean into faith. Because the cost of letting fear win is far greater than the risk of stepping out in faith. Fear builds prisons. Faith breaks chains. And the man you want to become, he's on the other side of faith. Let's talk about relationships, because for a lot of men, this is the area that cuts the deepest. And here's what I want you to realize: the relationships you keep are mirrors. They don't just show you who other people are, they reflect who you are. If your life is filled with toxic, shallow, surface-level connections, that says something about where you are inside. If you keep chasing women who don't value you, if you keep surrounding yourself with friends who distract instead of challenge you, if you keep letting people take more than they give, that's not just about them. That's about you. And I know that stings. But the truth is, who you allow into your life is a direct reflection of how you see yourself. When you don't value yourself, you'll tolerate disrespect. When you're lonely and desperate, you'll settle for anyone who fills the silence. When you're not walking in purpose, you'll attach yourself to people who drag you further from it. And then you wonder why you feel drained, why you feel stuck, why you feel invisible. I need you to hear me. Your relationships are either fueling your growth or feeding your destruction. There is no middle ground. Every text you answer, every call you take, every date you go on, every hangout you agree to, it's either pulling you closer to the man you're meant to be or further away. And if you don't get intentional about who you let into your world, you'll keep repeating cycles that break you. Here's the part most guys don't want to admit. Sometimes the loneliness you're running from is better than the company you're settling for. It's better to be alone than to keep attaching yourself to people who confirm your worst fears about yourself. That loneliness you feel, it's not punishment. Sometimes it's preparation. It's the space where you finally learn to stand on your own, to strengthen your identity, to find your worth before you hand it to someone else to define. Now, tie this back to that dream. The rapture is hours away. Think about the urgency of that. If your time really was limited, would you waste it entertaining people who don't respect you? Would you keep bending for someone who never shows up for you? Would you still keep fake friends close just because you're afraid to walk alone? No. You'd cut the noise. You'd choose the people who actually see you, who push you, who build with you. And listen, I'm not telling you to be perfect. I'm telling you to be aware. Stop ignoring the red flags. Stop pretending you're just having fun when you know deep down it's destroying your peace. Stop calling it loyalty when it's really fear of being alone. You want a different life. Start with different relationships. Because here's the bottom line, the people around you are showing you your future. If you want to see who you'll be in 5 years, look at who you're with today. And if you don't like what you see, it's time to change it. Relationships are reflections. If you want better ones, become the man who attracts better. If you want depth, build depth in yourself. If you want loyalty, become someone worth being loyal to. Because the truth is, you'll never rise higher than the standard of the people you allow closest to you. And time is too short to keep reflecting someone you don't want to be. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you were actually still? I'm not talking about lying in bed scrolling your phone. I'm not talking about zoning out with music blasting or Netflix running in the background. I'm talking about real stillness, no noise, no screen, no distractions. Just you, your thoughts, your breath, your soul. Most men can't do it. You know why? Because stillness feels like a mirror. And when you stop moving, stop distracting, stop numbing yourself, you come face to face with everything you've been running from. The pain you haven't dealt with, the dreams you've abandoned, the regrets you try to bury. And that's terrifying. That's why so many of us avoid silence like it's poison. We'd rather fill every moment with noise than sit with what's actually inside us. But here's the truth. The transformation you're looking for doesn't happen in the chaos. It happens in the quiet. Clarity doesn't come from endless scrolling or constant motion. Clarity comes when you get still long enough to actually hear yourself and maybe even hear God. And listen, I know what some of you are thinking. I don't have time to sit around and be still. I've got work, I've got responsibilities, I've got pressure. But here's the problem with that mindset. The busier you are, the more desperate you are for stillness. Because without it, you're running on fumes. You're reacting instead of leading. You're lost in the noise instead of anchored in purpose. Think about the men you respect most. They're not frantic. They're not scattered. They're not living in constant panic. They carry presence. They carry weight. And you know why? Because they've learned the discipline of stillness. They've trained themselves to be centered even when life is shaking. That's not luck. That's intentional. Now let's connect this to the dream. The rapture is hours away. If that urgency was real, would you want to spend your last hours panicking, distracting, running in circles? Or would you want to be grounded, clear, anchored in who you are and what you stand for? Stillness gives you that. It doesn't just calm you down, it roots you. It reminds you of what actually matters. And I'll be blunt: if you can't handle silence, you'll never handle responsibility. If you can't face your own thoughts, how will you face the world? Stillness is not weakness. It's training. It's where you learn to wrestle with your demons, to discipline your mind, to tune in to the voice that matters most. And in a world drowning in distraction, that ability makes you powerful. So here's my challenge: carve out time for stillness every day. Start with 5 minutes. Sit down, put the phone away, turn everything off, and just be. At first, it'll feel impossible. Your skin will crawl, your mind will scream, but stay there. That discomfort, that's your soul detoxing from the chaos. And if you stick with it, something incredible happens. The noise inside you begins to settle. The fog lifts, and you hear direction you didn't even know was waiting for you. Because at the end of the day, stillness isn't about doing nothing. It's about gaining the clarity to do the right things. And if time is really as short as the dream warned, then wasting it in noise is the fastest way to miss your purpose. The power of stillness is the power to finally hear what matters. And once you do, you'll never want to live without it again. Let's be real. Most men today are living behind masks. And I'm not just talking about social media filters or curated photos. I'm talking about the way we hide our truth every single day. You wake up, put on a smile, act like everything's fine, and play the part of who you think people want you to be. The strong one, the funny one, the "I've got it all figured out" one. But behind closed doors, you're exhausted, you're anxious, you're carrying weight you don't even know how to talk about. And the scariest part, nobody knows the real you, not even you. Here's the problem with living like that: masks are heavy. Pretending to be someone you're not drains you. And the longer you wear them, the more you start losing yourself. That's why so many men feel empty. That's why even when you succeed on the outside, it still doesn't feel like enough. Because deep down, you know you're building a life on lies, and you can't fake fulfillment. Authenticity isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about dropping the act and allowing yourself to show up as you are, broken, messy, flawed, but honest. And let me tell you something: honesty is magnetic. People are starving for it. Everyone's tired of fake smiles, fake conversations, fake confidence. When you choose authenticity, you give others permission to do the same. And that's where real connection happens. But here's why authenticity is so rare: it's terrifying. Because being authentic means risking rejection. It means some people will walk away when you stop playing the role they liked. It means admitting that you don't have it all together, and that vulnerability feels like weakness. But the truth, vulnerability is strength. It takes more courage to say, "I'm struggling," than it does to keep pretending you're not. Think about that dream again. The rapture is hours away. Imagine if that were true. Would you still want to waste your last hours pretending? Would you still want to leave this world with nobody knowing the real you? Or would you want to finally live free, unmasked, fully seen, fully known? Because the clock makes things clear: masks don't matter when time runs out. What matters is who you really are. And I get it. Maybe you're afraid the real you isn't enough. But let me tell you something: the man you're hiding is the man God created. The one carrying scars, the one carrying flaws, the one who's made mistakes. That's the man who's capable of growth. That's the man who's capable of love. That's the man who's capable of impact. The fake version of you can't transform the world because he doesn't even exist. But the real you, he's powerful. So here's the call: drop the act. Stop hiding behind achievements, behind bravado, behind distractions. Start telling the truth to yourself first and then to others. Because when you strip away the masks, you step into freedom. And freedom is the soil where purpose grows. Authenticity is risky, but living without it is lethal. Don't wait until your time is almost gone to finally be real. Start now. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really sit with this. If your time was almost gone, if you knew you had only hours left, what would you regret the most? It wouldn't be the cars you didn't buy, the houses you didn't own, or the promotions you didn't get. No. The regret would be about the life you didn't live, the words you didn't say, the purpose you ignored because you thought you had more time. That's the lie we live under, the idea that we've got forever, that we can keep putting things off. I'll start tomorrow. I'll chase my dream next year. I'll tell her how I feel when the time is right. But here's the truth. There is no guarantee of tomorrow. And if that reality makes you uncomfortable, good. It's supposed to, because that discomfort is the wake-up call you've been avoiding. Purpose is not something you stumble upon by accident. It's something you decide to step into today, right now. And the urgency of purpose is this: you don't get unlimited time to figure it out. Every day you delay is a day you'll never get back. And while you're waiting for the perfect moment, life is passing you by. Think about how many men are living without purpose right now. They wake up, go to jobs they hate, numb themselves with distractions at night, and call that living. They're alive, but they're not really living. And when you live like that, it eats at you. It shows up in your relationships, in your energy, in your confidence. Because a man without purpose is a man without anchor. And when the storms come, he drifts, he sinks, he breaks. But here's the beautiful part: purpose isn't hidden from you. It's already inside you. It's in the things that light you up, in the passions you keep pushing aside, in the voice that whispers. There's more for you than this. You've just been too afraid, too distracted, or too beaten down to listen. But the rapture metaphor, hours away, reminds us that you don't have the luxury of silence anymore. It's time to wake up. Living with purpose doesn't mean you have all the answers. It doesn't mean you'll never be afraid. It means you choose to align your actions with something bigger than yourself. It means you decide that your life will matter. Not someday, but now. Purpose is not about being perfect. It's about being committed. And here's the thing: when you lock into purpose, everything changes. The way you carry yourself, the way you love, the way you fight for your dreams. Suddenly, time feels different. You stop wasting it. You start investing it. You stop asking, what do people expect of me? And start asking, what was I created to do? That shift is everything. So here's my challenge: stop waiting. Stop assuming you've got more time. The truth is, you don't know how much time you've got. And that's exactly why you need to live with urgency. Step into your purpose today. Make the call. Start the project. Apologize. Forgive, love. Take the risk. Because when the clock finally runs out, and it will, the only question that will matter is this: did you live with purpose, or did you waste the gift of time? And maybe this is the part of the message you've been avoiding. The truth is, you don't know how many more nights you'll get. You don't know how many more warnings you'll hear. You don't know if this was God's last knock on your door saying, wake up before it's too late. And that thought alone should shake you, because so many of us live like tomorrow is guaranteed, when in reality the clock is already ticking. I need you to pause for a second and look at your life. Are you proud of the man you're becoming? Are you truly ready if the rapture was not days away, not hours away, but minutes? What would you regret leaving undone? Who would you regret never forgiving? What prayers would you regret never whispering? This isn't about fear. It's about truth. And the truth is, you still have breath right now. You still have a choice right now. God hasn't given up on you. You are not too far gone. You are not too broken. You are not too late. But the window is closing, and the time is shorter than you think. So don't just sit there listening. Act. Step into this moment with courage. Lean into the voice you've been ignoring. And if this message pierced you, even a little bit, then don't keep it to yourself. Somebody else you know is standing on the edge too. and they need to hear this. Share it with them. Comment and tell me what part hit your heart the hardest, because your story might be what saves another man's soul. And if you want to walk with me as I keep bringing these messages, then subscribe. Stay close. Don't drift back into silence, because this isn't entertainment. This is life, and life is running out.